Okay, everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Riley, and I really didn't want to do this video because it's kind of I don't know, I had a lot of requests to do this video, so I'm doing it, but it's not something I really wanted to do because I kind of think this debate is kind of stupid. It's kind of, it's kind of like the AK-47 versus AR-15 debate. It's never ending, and it's kind of pointless, but this video might help someone maybe if they want to decide between one of these platforms. That's really the only reason I'm making this video, is so it can help inform people and see which one they would rather choose. So obviously, probably like you can tell, like you can see, we are going to be analyzing the 1911 platform and the Glock platform. I don't know why, but a lot of people always seem to be wanting to know what's better, 1911 or the Glock platform. Really doesn't make sense to me because I think they're totally different weapon systems. You know, the majority of 1911s are 45, and obviously I have a Glock 17 here. This isn't not a Glock 21. This is just the 9mm Glock 17. Because I don't have a 21 here to compare it with, but it doesn't matter. We're not talking about caliber because you can get 1911s in 9mm, so it doesn't really. That's not really what we're talking about. What we're talking about is basically the weapon system, its efficiency, accuracy, and which one is better overall. I guess that's what everyone wants to know. So we don't really care about the difference between a 45 and a 9. And that's obviously why I didn't bring two 45s out here. If I could have got a hold of a Glock 21, I probably would have put it here instead of the Glock 17, but like I said, that doesn't matter. So people wanted me to make this video. I'm not like the most knowledgeable about both of these platforms, but I do use both of these platforms quite a bit. So I can give you my opinion on which ones I think are better, which ones I like more. And I use the word better really. I don't like using that word because it's really relative, so better could mean something different to each person. So just before we dive into this video, I'm going to state that this is a Springfield Armory's 1911A1. This is a Glock 17 Gen 5. I just wanted to throw that out there if you couldn't tell. So we're going to go over these and see which one. I think one of the main reasons to start off, people compare these so much is because these are two of the most popular platforms, for handguns currently. The 1911 series of guns has been around since, World War I. The Glock is obviously the newer player to the field, but the Glock still has a long track record for a polymer gun, and it has a really good track record for a polymer gun. The 1911 has been in 2 world wars and several other wars after that, and some military and law enforcement agencies still use this 1911 as their main sidearm. The Glock, on the other hand, hasn't officially been through any wars yet, Obviously, this was never like the Army's main pistol. After the 1911, they adopted the, Beretta M9, and now SIG has the contract for the Army's pistols. So this gun technically hasn't been a main sidearm in any war, the Glock 17, but lots of militaries and law enforcement agencies have used the Glock 17 for protection and combat. Lots of different armies, police forces around the world have used the Glock 17, so it is tried and true. It is tried and true, and it is very reliable, very accurate. And just because it's a half polymer gun doesn't make it any less potent than any other guns that have been used by any other military forces. So when it comes down to reliability and having a good track record. I think both of these, you can't go wrong with either one of these. Either one of these guns. Now, a Glock 17 will run hollow points. Almost every Glock will run hollow points without problem. This is where we get into the conflict. Is a lot of people find that the 1911 platform often does jam with hollow points, and through lots of research, I concluded that 1911s, originally were not designed to use hollow points. So a way to get around the jamming with hollow points is just using full metal jackets in your 1911. I know that's frowned upon, for self-defense, but if I would rather have a full metal jacket work than a hollow point jam in a 1911. So that's just one thing to throw out there. If you're using this as a self-defense pistol, the Glock does great with hollow points. 1911s, it's a hit and miss there. So that's just one point, obviously. So we talked a little bit about reliability and the track record. Like I said, lots of agencies, military and police agencies, are using now, in 2018, Glock 17s as their main sidearm. And the 1911s as well. 1911s are not out of service, meaning some people in the military and police forces, they still use the 1911. People think the 1911 is obsolete and does not mean anything anymore, and it's more like a relic, and that is totally false, because there's plenty of different agencies that still use the 1911. A lot of times it's not always in the full-size configuration, as you can see here with the 5-inch barrel, etc., but still they use a version of the 1911. Like, not all police officers use the Glock 17. They might, use the 19 or whatever. But the whole idea is we're talking about the general platform of the 1911 and the Glock. So, arguments, I know we already covered like 3 topics now, but let's go to like the 3rd or 4th topic. My gun has to be 100% metal. If it's not, then it's not a real gun. Plastic does not belong on a gun, a pistol. That's an argument you hear all the time from mostly 1911 owners. They say plastic doesn't belong on a gun. It doesn't work. Plastic's not meant to be on a gun. Well, I hate to break it to you, but nowadays plastic pistols are actually dominating the market. I would say if you took 10 people that are concealed carry holders and you look at their guns, I would say probably 8 out of 10 of them have a polymer gun, whether that be a Glock, Spring XD, a SIG, whatever. A lot of them are polymer now. M&P, we can go on and on. I guarantee you at least 8 out of 10 of them would be polymer. So I don't really think that's a valid argument saying that plastic guns aren't like as good as metal guns. Obviously, they're going to be more lightweight because plastic tends to be lighter than metal. But I don't think that's a huge issue. I mean, if that were an issue, Glock wouldn't be so reliable as they are. You can hate on Glock as much as you want. You can say, oh, Glocks suck, they're ugly, they're expensive, but you cannot argue with how reliable and outstanding their track record is. So, it's like you want to hate on it, go ahead and do that, but no matter how bad you hate on it, this is still going to be a reliable gun, any way you look at it. Same thing goes with the 1911. You want to hate on this gun and say, oh, it's an outdated World War II gun that doesn't, have any value anymore. That may be your opinion, but the reality is that there's a reason it was the main sidearm for 2 world wars, because it does work, and there's a reason why people still use the 1911, because it does work. So, people try to find little things to nitpick at all the time with both of these platforms, and most of the times their arguments are invalid. They're usually things like, the gun's ugly, or it doesn't, either way. And I guess that's kind of what we're covering, is just people's stupid, I don't want to say stupid opinions, but their remarks they make. Alright, I'm going to go to the next one. These are just ones I've kind of gathered over, the months of owning these two platforms. The next complaint we'll get is, why should I buy a 1911? The capacity sucks. Well, let's go ahead and look at this here. Obviously, this is chambered in 45 ACP, as most 1911s are. This one only holds 7 rounds. 7 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. That's not particularly what you would consider high capacity. I don't want to compare this. I'm not going to say, obviously the Glock 17 holds a lot more, but it's a different caliber, and we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to focus on this 1911. So it only holds 7 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. You only have 8 bullets to defend yourself with. People say, that's not enough. That's not enough to defend myself with. I need a high capacity magazine. My life is depending on it. Why should I use this? This only has 8 rounds. I can see where you're coming from. And a lot of people say, just hit him in the head and you won't have any problems. Make sure it's a headshot and you won't. It's like stupid comments like, make sure you hit him in the head. It's like, really, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You can argue that the 45 ACP 230 grain is packs a lot more punch than the 115 grain 9mm, but it comes down to shot placement. And you have to realize how your shot placement is under stress is very important, because as much as you want to shoot the guy in the head, chances are your adrenaline and 1,000 other things that are running through your mind at that second when you actually have to use your weapon, they're totally going to go out the window. So saying that you're going to shoot the guy one time in the head with your 45 is kind of stupid, because you probably won't. You'll probably pee in your pants and forget everything if you actually ever have to use it. But I just want to do, the FBI came out with a couple different research topics about how many rounds an average person uses in a self-defense situation. And what it says here is the average is 2 to 3 bullets fired in a self-defense situation where someone defends their life with a firearm. 2 to 3 rounds. So, you have 8 in here. So that's a lot more than 2 to 3. If that's the average, then I highly doubt you'll need a super high capacity pistol. So that kind of negates the argument saying, hey, this gun doesn't have enough ammo. I mean, realistically, if it's 2 to 3 rounds in a self-defense situation, then this 8-round 1911 should be perfectly fine. And if you've shot 8 rounds and you missed all 8 or something, get out of there. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. If you've shot 8 rounds at an attacker and they're still coming, or you missed all 8 rounds, then if you've missed all 8 rounds, why do you think you're going to hit them with 5, 10 more? Just get out of that situation and try to save yourself, retreat, live to see another day. Just kind of a silly argument. I don't want this video to be super long, but we're just going to keep moving on. I think I'll cap it at 20 minutes because you guys don't want to hear me ramble on for more than that. So basically, which one would I choose? I'm just going to go straight to that. Which gun would I choose out of these two if I could only have one, and that's it? And that's really hard for me because I like both of these guns a lot. I do love Glocks and I do love 1911s. Like, it's super hard for me. One thing I'll note about the 1911 is when you put the gun in your hand, it just feels so good. Like, it just feels like it's meant to be. It's a solid gun. It feels like something you'll have for the rest of your life. It's such a nice feeling gun. But at the same time, I'm not going to lie, it does feel like an outdated system. It does feel like there's something that could take its place that might be better. When I put the 1911 down and I reach over and grab the Glock, the Glock does not feel as good in my hand. The Glock does not look as good as the 1911. They're almost the same barrel length, overall length, actually. The Glock is ugly. The Glock is a box, but the Glock is modern, and the Glock works every time you pull the trigger. You know, I have 17 plus 1. I know I wasn't going to compare the capacity and the rounds, but this gun holds 17 plus 1. That's a lot of firepower in one pistol. 17 rounds in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. That's 18 rounds of power, you know, 18 rounds of 9mm. That's really good. Yes, you can get a 1911 chambered in 9mm, but I doubt the capacity would be more than 10, to be honest. 10 rounds of 9mm. So this Glock 17 is still beating it by 8 rounds. So if I had to absolutely choose one, and it sucks because I don't want to choose one, but if I had to choose one and which one I like, which one I think is what I would choose if I could only have one. And it breaks my heart to say this because I love both of these guns so much, but this is what I would choose right here. No doubt in my mind. Glock, I would choose the Glock. You know, this is a very good firearm, and there's a reason why so many militaries and governments or militaries and police forces are using it. This is a very good firearm. I would choose this hands down. But luckily I don't have to choose one, so I can have both of these guns. But you know, like, maybe you should do the same. Try both of them out and see which one you like better. But if you had to choose one, and okay, this video is basically all my opinion, so that's my opinion. I would choose the Glock if I had to choose one. You know, but I'm not saying the Glock is better than the 1911. I'm just saying that it's my opinion, and I choose the Glock. The 1911 is a great platform as well, but in my opinion, for modern day, you know, defense, etc., I think the Glock is a smarter choice. But by no means am I saying it's a better gun. These are both of these guns are very good at what they do. That's just simply my opinion, is choosing the Glock. But I still love the 1911 just the same. So, thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.